Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Graciana Studio would like you to put your hands together for the one, the only, Alex Bennett.
Like before you got into the career that you are in today, were there any obstacles that were in your way?
One of the big obstacles that got in my way was whether I should go to film school or not. It's a question that half the people in the industry would say don't do it, and the other half would say you need to do it, or it's wise to do it. And I asked a couple of people and just got conflicting answers. And so starting off my career, that was one of the main obstacles. How do you start it? Do you start it by going to film school and learning how to be in multimedia and in film production, or you just start in it? And my takeaway from that is I am very thankful that I went to film school. I do believe if graduating high school, you know how to work in film, it would probably be more beneficial to do so, because the film industry is very skilled trade based. So they care more about can you do it rather than what's your degree. And if you get hands-on experience, then that is gold. That is cool. You worked on that project. I trust you to work on my project. And film school doesn't allow you to get real world industry experience. You get to work with your hands and work with professional equipment. And that's kind of like the pro to it, because you get that hands-on in a setting where if you fail, there's not a risk. But if you are looking for, I want to be a producer and I want to go see how a producer does their job, then you've got to go to the film industry and work. But for many people, it's like, how do you even do that? So if you don't know, that's where I would say film school would definitely help broaden your understanding of the different facets. You go to any movie in the theater, and if you watch the ending credits, there's probably 100 different titles there. They all work in the film industry. There's probably like 10 different types of producers. Line producer, story producer, field producer. You wouldn't know that unless you went to film school. So I would say that's one of the biggest obstacles, is just how to start in it.
So how did you know that multimedia production was going to be your career?
I didn't. I grew up doing audio work. And then I was here at this high school taking this class with Mr. V. And I enjoyed this class more than any of my other classes. And so when it came time to apply to college, I looked at all the different majors. My brother, 2 years older than me, he kind of set the precedent. He went to San Diego State. And so I went to different majors that SDSU has to offer. And I was honestly, it was either between marketing or TV and film. And I'm like, I can't see myself being marketing or graphic design. So let's just try this film thing, see what happens. And I made the mistake first semester in film school. There was a class designed for seniors. I took it without credit. It was 3 hours was each lesson, and there were 6 lessons. And the professor said, film industry is hard. The more creative you want to be, the more difficult the beginnings of your career will be. And as a freshman in college, not knowing really what I wanted to do, that was not easy to hear. But the film program there had a 50% acceptance rate. So I told myself, if I was going to apply and get in, I was going to see this through. And if I didn't, then I wasn't meant to be, and change it. Well, I got in, and I just kept pursuing film upper division. Cinematography classes, directing classes, film production and TV classes. And it was just, got caught up in the whirlwind of it, graduated, and was fortunate enough to work as a production assistant on a local TV show for 3 months, which is really unheard of for that to be in San Diego for that long. And that's really what jump-started my career. But to answer your question more specifically, it kind of just happened. I didn't really... I'll tell you this. Some of the students that I was in school with, film buffs, they could tell you about David Finch's new projects and his techniques. They could tell you about the different types of cinematography. They could tell you about different movies and the colors and the looks and the styles. I just like watching films. I didn't really analyze it. And I really felt like I didn't grow up wanting to be in film. I just wanted to be technical. And that's just what I pursued this entire time.
Did you ever think that you would ever be in this career today?
No. My father was a DJ for over 30 years. And actually in this class, I started to learn how to DJ. It was right around the time that I was starting college that back about 2008, my father was trying to teach me how to use Sony Acid, which was a software to produce your own music. Similar to FL Studio, Pro Tools, or Ableton. But 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of like the top program. And I didn't really fall into enjoying it. I downloaded the video editing software, Sony Vegas. And I would rip commercials off YouTube in the early days of YouTube, and just kind of like edit Geico commercials together and like intercut it. I was just messing around and having fun. And so I was kind of like the tech kind of kid. It was actually that inspiration that made me pursue taking this multimedia class. Because I'm like, oh, I like video production, I like editing. I never thought that my career would end up being in audio when I started in video. My graduating class, there were only 3 individuals that graduated with an interest in pursuing audio for TV and film. And that's only because most people want to be the director, the cinematographer, the writer. Nobody really wants to be the sound mixer. And so I found my niche in having all those student films in college needing a sound mixer, and so I was their go-to. I never thought I'd be doing this professionally. Certainly not.
Do you need to be good at filming behind a camera, or know how to use the equipment in order to be in multimedia production?
Depends on which facet you're interested in. If you want to be in the camera department, Camera operators tend to know how to compose a shot very well. Lately, there's been a lot of new technology in camera. The assistant camera, it shouldn't be called assistant camera. They do assist the camera ops, but they have their own specific, respectful job of the technical aspect of the camera. They will build it. They will figure out how the operator wants to operate it and then rig it up that way. So their job's specialty is to know the technical of the equipment. The operator's job is to operate. But you can have both combined. You could be the director of photography, the operator, and the AC. Depends on the size of your crew. If you are a sound mixer, you definitely need to know the ins and outs of your equipment. You don't need to know the ins and outs of all the different mixers, although that would be helpful. But you need to know, like, if the producer comes up to you and says, this talent is going to walk off in the distance, you got to know that you're going to lose range with your back to that talent and be able to think creatively, okay, how do I do this shot? Is it MOS? Can we Foley it later? Is this a shot where you see their lips moving if they're off in the distance? Can I be just off camera to be within range, to making sure that the microphone that's mounted onto them is broadcasting to my receiver and has enough strength that I'm getting a good signal? So you've got to know the technical limitations as a sound mixer. As a writer, you've got to know how to tell a good story, a character story arc, and different plot twists and midpoint pinch, and it depends on what area of multimedia you want to get into, but you definitely need to become a specialist in the area you're interested in. And I remember not liking hearing that, because I wanted to do it all. I wanted to operate a camera, I wanted to sound mix, I wanted to direct, I wanted to write. And I actually told my professors in college, I'm going to do it all. And they thought I was crazy. And the more I've worked in film, the more I realize that they're right. Ish. If you are interested in a couple facets of film, then become a specialist in those few, and you'll be okay. If only one interests you, become a specialist in that one. Because since film industry is very skilled trade based, the more you are good at a specific area that interests you, the more likely somebody is going to trust you in that role. You're going to have a body of work as an individual that can pull off certain productions. I've been hired as a sound mixer on projects not because of my resume, but because somebody referred me. I went to Jackson, Mississippi. They paid for my flight, they paid for my hotel, and then they paid for my labor services there. And nobody asked me for my resume. Nobody even called to ask me if I knew how to do the job. I had a 5-minute conversation with another mixer, and it proved my competency in that role. And they hit me up a couple hours later and said, hey, I need somebody in this position. Are you available? So depends on the area, but you've got to be known as like, that person is the person I want in that. Which, if I may add to that just briefly, can really pigeonhole you. If, let's say, you're a really good producer, but you don't like producing, people are going to reach out to you and say, hey, can you produce this? Can you produce that? And you're going to be really inherently good at it, but maybe you want to get into another area. And so that's kind of that is a wall that a few people that I've known have hit, where they actually have to turn down jobs and then take lower quality but assistant roles to learn how to do another specialty, because that's what interests them. It's unfortunate that it's that way, but it's like if you were trying to redo the plumbing in your house, you want to hire the best plumber. You don't want to hire the electrician that wants to be a plumber. So you've got to learn how you got to be a plumber's assistant and work your way up until somebody hires you to do plumbing eventually.